Okay, so I wanted to make a video about me meeting Peer Surveillance Saving with Sirens. I'm Olivia, by the way. I met them November 16th. I don't know why I had to think about it. It was just like 3 days ago. And I actually got to meet Kellin and Jaime twice that day. My hotel was near the buses. Okay, so to get to the hotel from the mall that was across the venue where I went, I had to pass through the buses. And so me and my dad passed through, and my dad saw someone wearing it wasn't a hoodie, it was like a winter jacket. And he asked me, "Do you know who that is?" Because he was signing an autograph. And I was like, "I'm not sure. I don't think I know him," because I wasn't wearing my glasses. So I didn't see the face. I was like, "Who's that?" And so we had to cross between the buses to get to the other side of the street so we can go to the hotel. So we passed through and we got closer to the figures, and I was just like, "Jaime." And that's when Jaime looked at me. Well, he looked at my dad first. Let's pretend he looked at me, okay? And so I probably looked really shocked. I mean, my eyes probably went really wide because I was like, "It's actually Jaime. He's like right in front of me. He's real." He said hi to me and my dad, and I was like, "Hi, can I have a hug?" And he was like, "Well, of course." He said, "Of course." And he gave me this huge hug, and I mean, it was really cold out, and he was wearing a winter jacket, and it was awesome. He seemed to be in a rush, so I didn't really ask for like a photo or anything. And I explained to him, "Oh, I'm meeting you in like an hour anyways, so I'll just see you then." And he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'll see you then," because he was in like a huge rush. I didn't want to bother him. And so then we went to the hotel, obviously. Then we went back out because it was getting closer to the meet and greet time. And so I was there outside, just sitting down there with my dad. And there was an Urban Outfitters, and I was just like, "Hey, did you want to just go there, pass some time? I like looking at flannels there anyways." So, well, we went inside Urban Outfitters, and I was, looking at the Polaroid cameras because I love Polaroids. And so we went, I was looking at the Polaroid cameras, we started looking at, like, clothes and stuff. I think I saw a member of Beartooth there with his girlfriend, but I don't really listen to Beartooth, and so I didn't really, I didn't know if that was really him or not, so at the time I didn't ask. Later on I found out it was him, though. And so we went to the second floor, because they had vinyls, and I love vinyls, and I was just like, "Hey, Papa, do you want to go look at the men's clothes?" I mean, obviously he's a guy, so why not? And I also like looking at men's flannels, so it was kind of my excuse, like, "Hey, you're my dad, you want to go look at men's clothes?" And so we went up to the third floor, and I saw this flannel I liked, on a table, and I started looking at the flannel, and then I looked up, because I saw my dad looking at a shirt, and I wanted to see what he was looking at, but then I looked up, and I made eye contact with Jack from Sleeping with Sirens. It was the most awkwardest eye contact I probably had with anyone in my life. We looked at each other, we looked away, and then we looked back, and our eyes met, and it was like the most awkwardest thing, like, is he gonna say hi? Am I supposed to say hi? Luckily I didn't have to say anything. I mean, not luckily, I would have loved to meet him, obviously. But someone said Jack, and so that caught his attention, because it was someone that he came with. So that broke the awkward eye contact. And so he just, walked over there. And then my dad asked me, "Hey, is that the singer?" And I was like, "No, that's Jack." And then he was just like, "No, is that the singer?" And I was like, "No, that is Jack, the guitarist." And then I think my dad kind of got annoyed, and he just pointed like this. And because you know how they have like racks of clothes in between, different like tables or whatever. So I looked over like this, just look around the corner, and there was Kellin Quinn just looking at shirts. He was leaned over, his head was down, but I knew it was him. Don't call me creepy or stalkerish or anything. I mean, just look, I have a poster right there. I knew it was him, and I was just like, at that point, I kind of wanted to turn away, to be honest with you. I was just like, it's Kellin. What do I say? Do I say hi? So I nervously just went like, "Kellin." But I mean, I said it in like a whisper, so it probably sounded more shakily and like really dramatic and weird. Not too dramatic, I take that back. And so I was like, "Kellin," and he looked at me, and he smiled, and it was Kellin Quinn. I was just like, what's going on? And I mean, I'm just gonna start talking about this, but on the internet I used to hear a lot like, oh, Kellin was so rude to me. He's the meanest person I've met. He was rude. He lied. He said he'd be back in like 20 minutes to meet us, but he didn't come back. And a lot of people told me stuff like that, and a lot of people just like, good things, Sleeping with Sirens have good music, because when I met Kellin, he was rude, and if they didn't have good music, I wouldn't continue listening. And I was just like, I mean, obviously I'm a Kellin Quinn account on Twitter, so I was like, not really paying much attention to it, but I mean, it was still there, like, what if I meet Kellin and he's not as nice as I think he would be? So, I mean, at this point, I was just there, like, is he gonna acknowledge my existence? Which he did. And like, at that point, I'm just like, everything everyone's ever said just slipped my mind, like, oh, he's not rude. And I asked for a photo, and he said, of course. And I mean, think about it, this was his own personal time. He wasn't at a venue. I didn't have a meet and greet pass. He didn't have to meet me, didn't have to talk to me, didn't have to even acknowledge my existence or smile, look at me, say hi. He could have just continued searching through shirts, but he didn't. He just, he was there, and he was just like, hey, and I was like, hey, can I take a photo? And he said, sure. I took a photo. My dad took a photo because he was a fan now, because I got him into Sleeping with Sirens music. And I wrote Kellin a letter. I was going to say I wrote a letter. And so I asked if I could give it to him then, and he said, of course, you know. And I mean, he put all the stuff he was holding down, because I guess he didn't want it to get in the way of the photo and everything. And so I shakily just went through the bags, you know, we're getting ready for meet and greets. My dad had a bag with like all of our stuff in it. And I pulled out the letter and I gave it to him, and the letter wasn't 100% flat, and that was because I put a bracelet in it. So I kind of told him that, like, oh, there's a bracelet in it, that's why it's not as flat, because I didn't want him to think I put something weird in there. I mean, it's just a bracelet, guys. And so then he said thanks, and I was like, yeah, and then he said, enjoy the show, and I was just like, oh, I'm actually meeting you in an hour, and then he was like, oh, I'll see you then. And so, I mean, he was really nice, and I got another photo with him, because, I mean, my phone screen is kind of cracked right now. My dad wanted to make sure one of the photos turned out okay. And so Kellin was nicer than everyone has said he was, so I won't say I was relieved. I kind of knew he would be nice, but, you know, it eased that part of my mind that's like, he could be mean to you. And then, so later on, you know, about an hour or two later, I went to the meet and greet, where we got these passes. And it says, you know, Rockstar there has the meet and greet pass. This is Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens, and this is the world tour. Short story before I get to the full-on meet and greet story was, me and my dad passed, like, a security guard who was near the buses, you know, and he asked me, hey, do you like Sleeping with Sirens? And I was like, yeah, I do. You know, I was wearing a Sleeping with Sirens shirt when I met them. Can't lie at this point. And I said, yeah. And he's like, wait a second. And he put his hand in his pocket. And at this point, I'm just like, what could I be waiting for? Like, what's going on? He gave me a guitar pick. Let's see. So he has the Sleeping with Sirens symbol. And then it says, I'm pretty sure this is Nick's. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is one of Nick's guitar picks. And I mean, it's obviously used, but I thought that's like the nicest thing ever, that we asked, hey, do you like Sleeping with Sirens? And I said, yes, and he gave it to me. I mean, he probably could have kept it, you know, I don't know if he would want it, but I said thanks, obviously. And so then I went to the meet and greet, and got this, you know, got the ticket that's currently on my wall, so I can't give it to you or anything, or show it to you, I should say. And, you know, then we went inside in smaller groups, and for the meet and greet, what they have is, like, I won't say it's a tent, because it's not a tent, but they put up, like, fabric, I guess, like, see what's on my window, like that thing that covers it, they put that, and it's, like, black, so you can't see inside the box, so you like, other people can't see you taking a photo with Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens, which I think is nice, because, like, privacy with you and your favorite band, if they're your favorite, I'm not saying they're, yeah, anyway, so it was my turn to go in, I should say. And so I went in, and I didn't know what to expect. I was like, would Kellin remember me? And would Jaime remember me? Would Jack acknowledge the awkward eye contact and say something? I was like, it's been about 2 hours. We'll see how this goes. My eyebrow keeps going up. So I went in, and Kellin's like, hey, it's nice seeing you again. And I was like, yeah, you too. And then he's like, thanks for the letter. And I was like, wow, he remembered me. This is awesome. And so I asked Justin for a hug because, I don't know, for some reason when I was walking, I kind of went over to Justin. I mean, he's one of my favorites. I mean, if I had to pick a favorite, I'm not saying I have. You know, I picked certain members, at all of them I would have loved giving them all a hug. But I asked him for a hug because, I mean, he was right in front of me. I'm like, this is happening. And he was like, of course. And, you know, he gave me a hug. And then without even asking, Kellin just put his arms out, you know, and he gave me a hug. And it was the nicest thing ever. And then I believe it was either Gabe or Jack who said this first, but they're like, I like your Docs. Because I was wearing Doc Martens at the time, and they were like pink with flowers on it. And I was like, thanks. You know, we're all in the line for the photo at this point, and everyone just starts leaning in just to look at my shoes. I'm like, wow, do they have some, like, weird foot fetish? But I was like, nah, I'm not going to ask anything. That's really weird. They probably don't. And they all started complimenting me on my shoes. I mean, Justin, Kellin, Jack, Gabe, Nick, they were all like, yeah, we like your shoes, we like your boots and stuff like that. And I was like, thanks, because, you know, I mean, they're my shoes. I should be nice and say thanks. I mean, it wasn't weird or anything. Good thing I like my feet, unless I would have been really weirded out. Anyway, so then afterwards, you know, they all said, you know, enjoy the show and stuff. And I was like, thanks. And then when I passed Nick to go on to Pierce the Veil, Nick was like, I like your shoes. And I was like, thanks, you know. He just did like a side comment. And then, anyway, so then I went over to Pierce the Veil. At this point, I wasn't crying or anything like I thought I would, to be honest. It's probably because I met Jaime before, like I said, so that kind of calmed me down, lost the nerves or whatever. And so I went in front of them, and I was just like, I made you guys bracelets. And they were like, in unison, they were like, aw. I mean, I had to wear the bracelets because I didn't have time to put them in fancy bags or cards or anything. And so I like, when I was about to take them out, Jaime was like, oh, I'm getting good vibes. I'm getting good vibes already. So then I told them, like, oh, sorry, I can put them in, like, bags or anything, or cards, and Vic was like, no need, and I gave, you know, I gave them the bracelets, and they all put them right on. I mean, Jaime put his on, he was one of the first I gave it to. I gave one to Tony. He didn't put it on at first, because he was looking at the turtle charm, and I mean, originally I was only going to make a bracelet for Tony, to be honest, because I saw the turtle charm, and I'm like, oh, you know, it reminded me of him, and I was like, I should make him that, you know. And so I had extra beads, though, so I just decided to make it for all the members because they're my favorite band, so I was like, why not? And so I started passing them out. You know, they all said thanks when I gave it to them, and, you know, Vic said no need, so he just put the bracelet right on. Jaime put his on, Mike put his on, but he was wearing flannel, so it doesn't show up in the photo like everyone else's did. And then I asked Vic for a hug. Same with Super Sirens, the same thing that happened was I didn't know if I could, you know, walk backwards a little bit and give a hug to everyone. But I mean, that's okay. I'm meeting them in 3 months, actually, so I can give them all a hug then. And so Vic said, of course, and gave me a hug, and I was just like, wow, this is real. He's not on my computer screen. He's 3D. This is him. It's not like some screen just like, oh, you can't hug him, you know? And so I gave him a hug, and then I gave Jaime another hug, because he was ready for one. It was kind of like Kellin was. I was like, okay, you know, even though I already gave him a hug, but I mean, they give the best hugs, so I'm not complaining that I got more than one hug from certain members. And so then I went, you know, in between Mike and Vic for the photo, and I was like, wow, this is real. And so I kind of said, I said, I can't believe you guys are real. Yeah, such a random thing to say, right? But then Jaime was like, we're realer than real. And Vic said something like that too, and he was like, yeah, we're real. And then the photo was about to be taken, and Vic was like, I can't believe you're real. And that just, it made my day. I mean, that's probably why I was smiling in the photo. I mean, I smile a lot, obviously, just look at me right now. And so that just made me smile in the photo, I guess. And I mean, they really made my day. Just him saying, I can't believe you're real, because I mean, I never thought anyone would say that to me before. But it happened, and they all said enjoy the show and stuff, and then I walked out and got the autographed poster that it comes with, you know. After I walked out, I got that, and I was just like in complete shock, like, at the end, after I said goodbye, because Jaime said bye, and I said bye, you know, after that, I started feeling my throat go, like, together, and I felt like I was going to start, like, dying or something. And so I like going to the balcony, but I had to wait for my dad because he was behind me in the photo line. I couldn't, you know, look in there and see if he was done or anything, so I had to wait. Then when he came out, we went to the balcony, And in the space we were in the balcony, we could look down, and we can kind of see into the meet and greet. Like I said, it wasn't like a tent, so there wasn't any like thing covering the top, and we were on the balcony, so we could, you know, look down. And so we looked down, and we watched kind of the end of the meet and greet. I wasn't paying much attention because I'm like, oh, you know, the meeting fans would be really weird if they looked up and another fan was just like, hey guys. So I didn't look a lot. But then when the fans started, like, you know, when they were done meeting a lot of the fans, and there was like no fans there, and they're all giving each other high fives, like, hey, we're done. Well, I'm not sure if that's what they're saying, but they're just like really happy. I guess it's because the show was gonna start in like an hour or something. And so I saw Tony go up to Mike, and I was just like, okay, you know, they're gonna talk or whatever, because they were all talking, going to different members, you know, talking to each other. But he went like this, and at that point, I realized he was wearing my bracelet. Like, I'm just gonna put this on, for example. So I was like, he was showing it to Mike, like, hey, you know, look at this, and Mike was looking like this. And because the charm, you know, it was dangling, so it was like there. And so Tony was playing with it, he was like showing Mike the turtle and stuff, and I was like, wow, it looks like he likes the bracelet I gave him, and that made me really happy because, you know, they actually love the gifts that fans give them, and, you know, they like them so much that they even show it off to other members, like, hey, I got a turtle charm, you know. And that made my day. They're some of the nicest people ever, and like I said, I'm meeting them in 3 months from now, so I'll give the rest of them hugs then. I'll give them all hugs again. And I mean, if you're going to the meet and greet, don't really be nervous, because I wasted a lot of time doing that. I was really nervous for like the first, like 2 days before I went, and I ended up being fine. I mean, it was the best day ever. And so, I mean, you'll have fun. And remember to bring your own camera, and if you don't like how your phone takes photos, you should bring your camera rather than your phone for the photo. But yeah, because use your own camera and you're going to have a really amazing time. Well, I hope you have an awesome time. And yeah, that was my meeting Sleeping with Sirens and Pierce the Veil story, featuring me meeting Jaime and Kellin before the meet and greet. But that was a plus.